Hi! Welcome to this video. In this jewelry making video, I will show you how to make a necklace using magnesite beads and these black wooden beads. Now, in order to make the necklace, we should need some string, some thread. I have chosen some black nylon thread and also some findings. In order to close the bracelet, I will need this clasp, S-shaped clasp. I will need some jump rings, 2 jump rings. I will also need some bead ends, like these. And some crimps. Regarding the length of the thread, as you can see here, these magnesite beads, which are pointed, have 2 orifices. Therefore, I will use a double string like this, a double yarn. The length of a necklace, which is situated around the neck, so a shorter necklace, for women, is about 40 centimeters long for women, and you can add a few centimeters for the necklaces for men. For example, you can make it 46 or 47 centimeters for men, and that would be about 15.5 inches for women and perhaps 17 or 18 inches for a necklace for men. So this is why I will cut the double of that length for my necklace. So it will be 80 centimeters long, this cord, this thread, and that would be about 32 inches long. 30 to 32 inches long. Of course, to that you have to add a bit of thread so that you can make the knots. So it will be like 34 inches long and 80, let's say 85, 86 centimeters long, together with the length of the thread that I will use for creating the knots. And of course, beside the beads and the findings, we shall also need some tools. For my jump rings and for bending metal, I will use these chain nose pliers. Also for the jump rings, I have this jump ring opener, or I will use a second pair of pliers. For the thread, I will use a pair of scissors and a lighter. And for the crimps, I can use either the chain nose pliers or the crimping pliers. The last item, the last tool that we need in order to make the necklace will be a needle, the big eye beading needle, which I will use in order to put the beads on the thread. So let's begin creating this necklace. So the first step will be to put the thread on this needle. I will take one of those crimps So this is the crimp that I will use. And I will put it on our needle. This way. And I will try to find the middle of our thread. So this should be the middle point of our thread. Now I will make a knot here so that it does not move. And we have established which the precise middle point is for our bracelet, for our necklace, sorry. So this will be one end of our necklace. Now I will take both threads, put them into the needle, and I will take one of those bead caps and also put it on our needle, like this. And as you can see now, let's see from a closer distance. As you can see now, the crimp is inside the bead cap, and it will not come out through the orifice of the bead cap. Now we can close the bead cap using the pliers, and the crimp that is inside will no longer be visible, like this. So I've closed this bead end, and now we can add our clasp. I will take one of those jump rings and open the jump ring using the chain nose pliers and the jump ring opener, like this. I hope I opened the jump ring enough so that it goes through the clasp, like this. So I put the jump ring on the clasp, and I will also put the jump ring through our bead end, like this. And now let's close the jump ring. Like this. And I have added the clasp to the end of our necklace. So now let's start creating the necklace. Whenever we make a necklace and we have different types of beads, we have to think about the fact that we have to calculate the number of beads that we have so that we have a symmetry of the necklace that we create. So I will begin by putting 24 beads of 24 black beads, after which I will start adding the white beads, the stone beads. So let's start putting the black beads. So these are 10, and I'll add another 14 beads. So here we have 24 beads. Now let's make a small measurement so that we can understand exactly what dimensions the necklace will have. So as you can see here, this bead is about 5 millimeters. About a quarter of an inch. One bead, whereas the stone bead is a bit larger than half an inch, and it is about 1 centimeter and a half, almost 2 centimeters, 1 centimeter and a half long. Now we shall add the first white stone bead. I shall remove one of the threads, and I will keep only one of those 2 threads. So I'll put one of the threads through the white bead, remove it, and then I take the second thread and put it through the bead, through the other orifice of the bead, like this. And we have added the first stone bead, like this. Now, again, I will take the needle and the 2 threads and add a few more beads. So I will put 3 black beads, like this. I'll remove the needle, and again I will work with the 2 separate threads. I will take one of those stone beads and put the 2 threads through the 2 orifices of the stone bead. Now again, I will add 3 black beads, and I will put the central bead. Like this. So this will be our central bead, and again 3 black beads, another white bead, again I'll add 3 black beads, and the last black bead, white bead, sorry. One and the second thread. This way. Now I have created the central part of our necklace, and I will add another 24 beads on this, black beads on this side. Then another 10. and another 4. And I can remove the needle. And now let's close the necklace. Now we have to put the bead end on our thread. I will open the bead end so that I can work inside this bead end, because we shall have to make a knot. So I will take the bead end and put it on the needle, like this. And now I will take a crimp and also put it on this needle. So I will take this crimp and put it on the needle. This way. So as you can see, I have the bead end and the crimp here on this needle. And now that we have the bead cap, the bead end on our threads, I will take a crimp and I will put one of the threads on the needle, and I will take the crimp and put the crimp on the needle as well, like this. And on one of the threads I will remove the needle, and as you can see, we have put on the threads the bead end, and on one of those two threads the crimp. Now, whenever we make the necklace, we must make sure that the beads are neither too compressed, too close to each other, nor that they are too far away from each other, because if they are too far away we shall see the thread, but if they are too compressed they will look rigid. So we have to give a little space to this thread, so the beads must not be too tight together. And now I will take the two threads, let's see from a closer distance, and I will make a knot with those two threads. So I made one knot. Let's make another 1 or 2 knots so that the thread does not open. And this way the crimp will remain inside our bead end here and will prevent the thread from sliding. Now I've made a few knots on the thread, and I can cut the thread like this. I will take the lighter and burn the end of the thread. This way the end of the thread will stick to the knot and will prevent the knot from opening, and now I can close the bead end. I will take the pliers and close the bead end. This way. And I will take the jump ring and I will open it and attach it to this bead end. So I'll put it through the orifice of this bead end like this and close it. This way. And now let's see if the necklace clasp opens and closes. So this is our S-shaped clasp. And let's see what our necklace, finished necklace, looks like. So this is what the finished necklace looks like. I hope you liked this video, and I hope that you now know how to create a necklace of this type and how to attach this type of clasp. Thank you for watching. Hi, welcome to this video. In this video I will show you how to create a surf necklace using turquoise, coral beads and beads in the color of bone. Of course, to create the necklace I will need first of all some findings, and I will use a lobster claw clasp to open and close the necklace. I will also need some jump rings and some bead ends. I will also need some crimps and in order to assemble them I will also need tools. I will need thread. I have chosen some nylon, black nylon thread, in order to put the beads on this thread. And as tools I will need pliers, a big eye beading needle, this needle. For the thread I will use a pair of scissors and a lighter. To measure the thread I will use measuring tape, and to open and to close the jump rings I will need a pair of pliers and a jump ring. And now let's begin by measuring the length of our thread. First of all, For necklace, a surf necklace that is around the neck for women, you need about 34 to 35 centimeters. So this would be the length of the necklace itself. That would be about 14 inches, 13 and a half to 14 inches for women. For men, you can add 1 or 1.5 inches for the necklaces for men, so they could vary between 14 and a half to 16 inches. That would be about 37 to 41 centimeters if you want to make a necklace for men. And to this length, you should also add a few inches to the thread so that you can put the thread on the needle and that you can make the knots. So you should add some extra thread so that you could create the ends of your necklace. I recommend that you measure exactly the circumference of the neck if you know the person for whom you want to make the necklace, or if you want to make the necklace for yourself. And now, after I have explained to you what findings, what tools we need, what beads we need for this necklace, let's start making the surf necklace. I will put the thread on the needle. And now let's start making the preparing the thread. I will make a knot at the end of my thread here. I will try to make a larger knot. Let's make one more knot so that the knot at the end of our thread is large enough so that the beads don't fall off. Like this. And now I will take the lighter, burn the end of the thread like this, and I will take one of the crimps and put it on the needle. So this is the crimp. And I'll put the crimp on the needle like this. And the crimp will stop next to our knot. Now, I'll cut the threads here. Now, what we shall do next is that I will take the pliers and I will press on our crimp to make the crimp flat, like this, so the crimp will not slip over our knot. So as you can see, now our crimp is no longer round, it is flat and it presses on the thread and it stops in the knot. Like this. And now let's take one of those, the bead ends, and I will put the bead end on my needle. This way. And it will stop in our crimp here. So now, as you can see, this bead end is going to cover the knot and the crimp. Let's take the pliers again, and I will press on the pliers to close this bead end like this. And as you can see, our bead end covers the knot and covers the crimp so that they are no longer visible. This is why when you make a knot, you can make the knot as large as you like, so that it doesn't come out, the thread doesn't come out, because even if the knot doesn't look aesthetic, it will be covered by this bead end and it will be invisible. And now I will take the lobster claw clasp and put it on our bead end here. And I will take the pliers and close this bead end like this. This way. So now, as you can see, the end of our necklace is ready. And now we can start putting the beads. So I will take the first bead and put it on the needle like this. And now I will take some white beads in the bone color. Now let's start adding the turquoise beads. So I'll put a turquoise bead another turquoise bead, a coral bead, and then another 2 turquoise beads, this way. Like this. And now let's continue adding white beads in the color of bone. So what's important is to always count the number of beads so that the beads that we add should be in the same length and they should look symmetrical. So I will add another 10 white beads in the color of bone, and then I will add again turquoise and coral beads using the same pattern. And I will continue until I reach the end of my necklace. So let's continue adding the white bone color beads and then the turquoise and coral. So this is the sequence. And we shall continue using the same sequence of beads. And now we have reached the end of the necklace and we shall close the necklace. First of all, I will take the bead end and open it. So I will open the bead end as much as possible so that I can work inside of the bead end, because I will need to make some knots here inside of the bead end. So I opened it and I will put the bead end on my needle like this. Now I will take another crimp So I will take this crimp and put it also on the needle, like this. So as you can see, I have the bead end and the crimp here. Now, when I let's remove the needle. When I close the necklace, I must make sure that the beads are not too compressed like this, so that they are not pressing too much on each other. They are not too close to each other like this, because they will look rigid. So if the beads are too compressed, they will look rigid like this and not uniform. They shouldn't be too loose either, because you can see the thread if the beads are too loose. So usually I will leave about 1 millimeter here, and then I will take the pliers, let's see from a closer distance, like this. So as you can see, this is the crimp, and at a distance of about 1 millimeter from the end of my beads, where the beads stop, like this, I will grab the crimp with the pliers and I will press on the crimp, like this. and our crimp will press on the thread. So as you can see, the crimp is flat now and it presses on the thread. So above the crimp I will make some knots to prevent the crimp from sliding on the thread and the necklace from opening. So right above the crimp that I have pressed, I will make these small knots. And my knots will be here at this point so that the crimp cannot slide upward on our thread. So it will stop in my knot. Let's make another knot. As I said, here I can make as many knots as I like because they will be covered by the bead end and they will not be visible. Like this. And now with the scissors I will cut the thread like this. So I cut the thread. I will take the lighter and burn the end of the thread like this. And now I can take the pliers and close the bead end. Like this. I've closed the bead end. And now here I have this hook of the bead end. I will put the jump ring, take the pliers and close this hook here, like this. And as you can see, I have closed the end of the necklace like this. And let's see if the lobster claw clasp opens and closes my necklace. So this is the closure of my necklace, and now let's see what the finished necklace with coral, turquoise and bone beads looks like. So this is the finished necklace, surf necklace, and as you can see, we only need a few findings, some thread and the beads in order to make this simple necklace. I hope you like the necklace, and thank you for watching. Hi! In this video I will show you how to create a necklace using beads and some metal charms. Now, in order to create the necklace, we shall need some findings and some tools. As findings, I will use these crimps. I will use this S-shaped clasp, some jump rings, and some bead ends. I will also need some thread and to assemble the beads and the findings I will use tools. First of all, I will need a pair of chain nose pliers. I will need a big eye beading needle, a jump ring opener. I will also have this pair of pliers on the table in case I need two pliers to open and to close the jump rings. I will use a measuring tape to see how long the necklace should be. And for the thread, for the nylon thread, I will need a pair of scissors to cut the thread and a lighter to burn the end of the thread. Let's take the big eye beading needle and let's begin making the necklace. The first step is to measure the length of the necklace. The length of the necklace around the neck is going to be of about 36 centimeters, that is about 14 inches. If you want to make a necklace for a man, you can add 1 or 2 inches to the length of the necklace. That would be 15, 15 and a half or 16 inches, or 39 to 41 centimeters for the necklace alone. When you cut the thread, you can add a few more inches, 3 or 4 inches to the thread at least, so that you can make the knots at both ends. That would be a maximum of 50 centimeters. Because you will have to put the thread on the needle, and if you do not have an extra 1, 2 or 3 inches of thread, you will not be able to use the needle because the thread will be too short. And now let's begin by creating a knot at the end of the thread. Now that I have created the knot, I will take the lighter and burn the end of this knot like this. I will put the thread on the needle like this. You have to take into consideration that sometimes this point here of the thread may be cut by the needle, because the inside of the needle is sometimes a little sharp. So you have to be attentive that this bit of thread should be cut away. So you should put enough thread so that you can cut this last bit of thread, because it is a possibility that the needle may cut the thread. And now I shall take one of those crimps so this crimp, and I will put the crimp on the needle like this. This way, and as you can see, the crimp has stopped in the knot. Now I will take the pliers and press on the crimp this way to make the crimp flat, so that it no longer moves on our thread. Now I will take the bead cap and I will put the bead cap on my needle this way. And now I will close the bead cap using the pliers so that the knot and the crimp remain inside the cap. Now I will take one of those jump rings, open the jump ring, I will put the jump ring on the S clasp and I will close it. And now I will put the jump ring and the S S clasp on the bead cap, and I will take the pliers. So I took a pair of pliers that is more pointed. These are the round nose pliers. They are usually used for creating loops, but because the pliers have a smaller tip here, I will use them this time in order to close the necklace like this. And as you can see, now I have attached the clasp. Now the end of my necklace is ready and we can begin adding the beads. So I shall start adding the beads in a specific order so that they form a pattern of black and white beads. Now at this point I will start adding the metal charms. I will add the first metal charm, the smaller one. Then I will add some beads. I will add the second metal charm. Again, some beads. And now I will add this metal charm which will mark the middle of my necklace, the center of my necklace, this way. And now that we have reached the middle of the necklace, let's create the rest of the necklace so that it is symmetrical to the first part. So again, I will put black and white beads. Then the second, the small metal charm. And from this point on I will only add beads. No more metal charms. This way. And now, as you can see, I added all the beads and we have to add the bead end. I will open this bead end like this so that I can work inside the bead end. I will put the bead end on my needle like this. Now I will take another crimp so I will take this crimp and put the crimp on the needle this way. I will remove the needle from the thread. I will take the pliers and press on the crimp. Whenever you make a necklace or a bracelet, you have to take into consideration that the beads should not be too far away from each other so that the thread is visible, but they should also not be too compressed, too tight next to each other, because as you can see, if they press too much on one another, the necklace will look rigid. So they have to be a little loose, but not too loose so that the thread becomes visible. You can leave about 1 millimeter space here so that the beads have a bit of space to move, that they are not too compressed, but they should also not be too loose. Like this. So I have pressed on the crimp here, and the crimp will block the thread from moving up and down. This way. And now I will start making some knots above the crimp to make sure that the crimp does not slip from the thread. So this is the reason why I had to open the bead end so much, so that I could have enough space to make the knot right above the crimp. So I'll make a few knots, just like at the beginning. Now, as you can see, on the thread inside of the bead cap we have the flattened crimp, and right above the crimp I made a few knots. So this way the thread will not slip out of the bead end, and the the beads of the necklace will not fall off. Now let's cut the thread above the knot. Like this. I will take the lighter and burn the end of the thread, like this, and I will close the bead cap so that the knot is no longer visible and the crimp. So I will use the pliers, and as you can see I have closed the bead cap. And now I will take the last finding, the jump ring, put it on the hook of the bead cap, and I will also take the round nose pliers to close the bead end. Because the round nose pliers have a smaller tip here, so I can grab the small items easier. This way. And now I have closed the necklace. I will put all the tools away. Let's see what the closure of the necklace looks like. So this is the necklace closure. And let's see what the finished necklace looks like. So this is the finished necklace with the S clasp and with the metal charm ornaments. So I hope you liked this video and thank you for watching. Hi, in this video I will show you how to create a necklace using a bone pendant and beads. I will use black and white beads. For example, this is lava stone. And I'll also use some black and white wooden beads. And also beads in other shapes. As I said, this necklace will be black and white, and therefore it can be combined with any colors on the clothing. In order to make the necklace, I will use a double thread like this. And the length of the necklace itself will be about 36.5 centimeters to 37 centimeters. That would be about 14.5 inches. In order to be able to create the knots and put the beads on a needle, I will add a few more inches, 1 or 2 or maximum 3 inches of thread to my 2 threads, and this way I will have enough thread to create knots and to hold the necklace when I add the beads. So now let's talk about the findings that we shall use and the tools. First of all, let's talk about the tools. So I have here some of the tools that I will be using. For the thread, I will use a pair of scissors and a lighter. And for the metal findings, I will use a pair of chain nose pliers, a jump ring opener. I can also use, if necessary, another pair of pliers to open and to close the jump rings, And I can use, for the crimps, I can use the crimping pliers or the chain nose pliers. In order to combine all those beads and attach the pendant, I will need some findings too. And let's talk about the findings now. Let's begin with the closure of the necklace. To close the necklace and to open and close the necklace, I will use this S clasp and some jump rings. For the end of the necklace, I will use these bead ends. And some crimps. And now, let's begin making the necklace. Unlike in the case of other necklaces, with this necklace I will use two threads because I have these pointed beads, these canine shaped beads, which have two orifices, so I will use two threads for my entire necklace. I will take the two threads and I will put them through my pendant, my bone pendant. I will use the big eye beading needle. So this is the needle that we need. I will put the two threads through the needle, so I just open the needle like this, put the two threads through the needle, and I will put the needle through this orifice of the pendant, and now I will find the middle of my pendant. First of all, let's put the 4 yarns through the needle. I will take one of those crimps So let's take one of the crimps and I will put, with the needle, I will put the crimp on my needle like this. This way. And I have brought the crimp over here. And now I will find the middle of my two threads. This way. And I will press on the crimp. Now I will take the yarns and make an overhand knot above the crimp. I'll pull on each of the threads like this. And now that I have made a knot above the crimp, I will take the threads, put them on the needle, and I will take one of those beads, put it also on the needle, and I'll put it on the threads, and I bring it down here, and this way the bead covers the crimp and the knot. Now I can remove the needle. And now I will separate the thread in two threads, and I will start adding the beads on each of the two threads. So I put the thread on my needle and I will start adding beads. So I added the first two beads. Now I will put one of those white beads, a lava stone bead, a teardrop shaped lava stone bead, another white bead, two black beads, and now I will put the first tooth-shaped bead with two orifices. I will put one thread through one of the holes and the second thread through the other. Like this. And now I will continue adding the wooden beads. Again, I put the thread on my needle and I will continue adding those beads. I'll put some white beads too, a white, a black and a white bead. Like this. Again some black beads. some more black and white beads. And the rest of the black beads. Like this. So now we have finished one half of the necklace. The next step will be to add the bead end. So I will again put the threads on the needle and put the bead end on the needle too, like this. In order to block the thread and to stop the beads from sliding out from the thread, I will use one of those crimps. And I will put the crimp, but on a single thread, not on both threads. So I will put the thread through the needle, and I will put the crimp on only one of the two threads, like this. So as you can see here, I have the bead end and the crimp is here. Now I will make sure that the beads are not too close to each other, but also not too far to each other, because if they are too far from each other, the thread will be visible. If they are too compressed like this, they will look rigid. So we want them to be neither too close nor too far from each other. So we can just lift the beads, hang the beads like this, so that they order themselves one over the other. And now I will take the two threads and make a few knots, making sure that in between the two knots we will have our crimp. So I'll make one knot, another knot, a third knot, perhaps a fourth knot, and these knots, as you can see here, they hold the crimp in place, and this way our beads will not fall off the thread. Now, take the scissors, cut the thread, and I will burn the end of the thread. Like this. So as you can see, I burned the end of the thread that I cut. And now I can take the pliers and close the bead. The bead end. Like this. And now I will take one of those jump rings. I will take the pliers, the chain nose pliers and the jump ring opener, and I will open this jump ring. I will put the jump ring on the S clasp, and I will put it on the bead end. And now I will close the jump ring like this. And I have attached the S clasp. And as you can see, half of our necklace is ready. All we have to do is create the second half of the necklace, which must look symmetrical to the first. So I will take the other two threads, put the threads on the needle, and add the next beads in a symmetrical way. Now I have reached the pointed bead, and again I will separate the two threads, and I will put one thread through each of the holes of the bead. And now let's continue with both threads being put on the needle, because all the other beads are wooden beads. And now the beads have been added to the thread. Now I will put the bead end. Now I will put the bead on the thread. I will remove one thread. Then I will take the crimp, put the crimp on only one of the two threads. This way. Now I can remove the needle. And again, let's see from a closer distance. Again, we have the crimp on one of the threads, the bead end here, and the two threads. Now I will use the two threads to make a knot. Before that, I will lift the thread so that the beads arrange themselves alone on the thread, so that they are not too tight to each other, too compressed, nor too loose, so that they are not too rigid, nor that we can see the thread. And now I will make a few knots. here, and those knots will be masked by our bead end. Now that I have made a few knots, I will cut the thread like this. I will put the two threads away. I will take the lighter and burn the end of the thread. Like this. I will take the pliers, close the bead end, this way, and I will put the second jump ring on the bead end. So I will open it again with the pliers and the jump ring opener and put it on the bead end here, this way. Like this. And now I will close the necklace, and let's see what the finished necklace looks like. So this is the finished necklace. We have the wooden beads, the S-clasp as a closure, the lava stone beads in the shape of a teardrop, and the bone pendant. So I hope you liked the video, and thank you for watching. I will show you how to create a necklace using metal charms and pendants. I will use this metal pendant, these metal charms in the shape of feathers, and black and white beads. So these are 6mm beads. They are wooden beads. So this is the natural color of wood, and these are painted in black. To make the necklace, I will also need some thread, and I have chosen this black nylon thread. As a closure, I have chosen this ornamental closure, and in order to assemble these parts, I will need some findings. For the end of the necklace, I will use these bead ends, bead tips. I will need some crimps, and some jump rings. And beside the jump rings, the findings, in order to make a necklace, we need tools. I will talk a bit about the tools that we shall use. So, as you can see here, we have different types of pliers. The type of pliers that we use the most often with jewelry is this type of plier, which is pointed here and has no teeth here, and it is called the chain nose pliers. So these pliers are called the chain nose pliers. They are flat here without teeth so that they do not scratch the findings. Here I have another type of pliers that I might use in case I want to open and close, for example, the jump rings. Also for the jump rings, I need this jump ring opener. For the crimps, I might use either the crimping pliers or the chain nose pliers. To measure the length of the necklace, I will use the measuring tape. As you can see, it is in centimeters and in inches. And for the thread, I will need the scissors and the lighter. And in order to put the beads on the thread, I will use the big eye beading needle. So let's remove the needle from the package. And now, let's talk about the length of the necklace. For a normal necklace around the neck for a woman, I usually choose a necklace of about 36 centimeters. That would be about 14 inches. If you want to make a necklace around the neck, but for men, you can add 1.5 or 2 inches. That would be between 40 and 42 centimeters long for men. So for women, it's 36 centimeters, that is 14 inches, and for men, you can make it 40 to 42 centimeters, that would be 16 or 17 inches. Of course, whenever you create a necklace for somebody you know, you should measure exactly the length that the person prefers for the necklace. And now let's begin with creating the necklace. We shall take the thread, and as the first step, I will make a few knots. So I will make these knots at the end of my thread, so that the beads do not fall off the thread. like this. This way. Now, as you can see, I have, let's see from a closer distance. I have this, let's move the beads and the findings away so that we can see what we are doing. Like this. We have the end of the thread here, so I can cut a little bit of this end of the thread here, and with the lighter I will burn the end of the thread, and by burning the nylon thread it will melt and stick to the knot so that the knot will be more resistant. And now let's put the thread on the needle. When you put the thread on the needle, you should remember that the needle may be a little sharp on the inside here, and it might cut a bit of the thread. So whenever you choose some thread, you should make sure that you add 3 or 3.5 inches as length to the length of the necklace that you want. So if you have a necklace of 14 inches, so the entire necklace should be not longer than 14 inches, then you can add 3 inches or 3.5 inches to the thread so that you can make the knots at the end of the thread, and also cut a bit of the thread, because as I told you, the place where the thread goes through the needle, the thread may be cut a little bit because the needle is sharp inside here. So you should be able to cut off the damaged part of the thread, the part that is damaged by the needle. And now I will take one of those crimps So I've taken 2 crimps, and I will put one of the crimps on my needle this way. And I'll bring and the crimp should stop at the point where the knot is. And here I'm going to press on the crimp this way. And as you can see, our crimp is now flat, so it will not slip over the knot, and it also blocked the thread, and it will not move up and down on the thread anymore. Now, I will take one of those bead end caps and put it on our needle this way, and you will see that because of the crimp and the knot, the thread will stop like this, and it will not come out through the orifice of the bead cap. And now let's close the bead end, this bead end, with the pliers. so that the knot and the crimp are no longer visible. So this bead at the end of my necklace is masking the knot at the end of the thread. And now let's take one of those jump rings So I will take this jump ring, grab it with the pliers, with the chain nose pliers, and with the jump ring opener and the chain nose pliers, I have opened the jump ring and I will put it through my bead end. Now I will also put the closure, the clasp, inside the jump ring, and now we can close the jump ring. So I can use either the jump ring opener or the other pair of pliers to close the jump ring. And now, as you can see, the end of our necklace is finished. And now we can start putting the beads on our thread and creating the necklace. So I will begin with the white beads, and I will alternate black and white beads. So I put 3 white beads, so 3 white beads, a black bead, 3 white beads, a black bead. And I will continue until I reach the middle. I get closer to the middle of the necklace. And now I will start adding the metal pendants. I will put the small feather pendant. Now I will put a white and a black, so 2 white beads and a black bead. I will put the next feather pendant, the larger feather pendant, again a white bead, a black bead and another white bead. I'll put one more white bead, and now I have reached the middle of the pendant, and I will put the half moon ornament, the half moon pendant. I will put 2 white beads, 1 black bead, and another white bead, this way. So what we have to take into consideration is that our beads and pendants must be placed symmetrically. I'll put the second pendant. Again, a white, a black and a white bead. And the last pendant, the small metal pendant. Like this. So we have finished the ornamental part with the pendants and with the metal charms, and we can continue adding beads by following the rule of the beads from this point to this point. So I will add 3 white beads, then a black bead, and so on. like this. And now we have finished adding the beads, and all we have to do now is close the necklace. In order to close the necklace, I will take the bead end and I will open it, because we shall have to work inside of this bead end to create the knot at the end of our bead. So I put the bead on my needle and on the thread, and I will take the second crimp, put it on the needle, bring it inside the thread. Now I will remove the needle, and as you can see, let's see from a closer distance now. Like this. As you can see, now we have the bead end on our thread and the crimp. The crimp must be made flat by using the pliers, so that it will block the beads from coming out on this thread like this. When you decide where the crimp should be placed, you must take into consideration that the beads should not be too tight together, too compressed like this, because as you can see, if they are too compressed, the necklace is too rigid and it doesn't look good. The beads will not look nice. They will look somewhat like this. So some of them go up, some of them go down, if they are too compressed. If they are too loose, as you can see, the thread is visible. So when you decide where to put the crimp, you should take into consideration that the beads should not be too tight to one another, nor too loose. So you can leave about 1 millimeter of space on the thread and then press on the crimp. This way your beads have a little bit of space to move. Now I have pressed on my crimp, and the crimp is pressing on the thread so that the beads will not come out. In order to make sure that this crimp does not move, you can also add a few knots above the crimp here at this point. So let's make a few knots here. So as you can see, the longer the thread is here, the easier it will be to create these knots. So it is always important to leave a few inches on the thread so that you can make these final knots on the thread of our necklace. So I made one knot, let's make another knot. So as you can see, I opened the bead cap so that I can make these knots here, that I have space, enough space to make the knots here. And now that I made some knots here, I will take the scissors, cut the thread, and I will burn the end of the thread this way. And now I can close the bead end. So now I've closed the bead end with the pliers. I will take the last jump ring I will open it. I will put the jump ring through the bead end like this. And I will put the and now I will put the clasp and close the jump ring. This way. And now let's see what our finished necklace looks like. So this is the finished necklace. So as you can see, I put 4 beads between the pendant and the feather charm because the pendant is a bit wider here and there should be a symmetry between the ornaments. So this is the finished necklace. I hope you liked the necklace, I hope you liked the video, and thank you for watching. I will show you how to make a toggle clasp necklace using a metal charm, some beads. I will use coral and turquoise beads, a metal clasp, of course, toggle clasp, and I will also need some nylon cord. I have chosen this black nylon cord for the necklace. For the cord ends I will use these spring ends and some jump rings. And the last finding that I will use is this eye pin. As tools I will use different pliers. I have a chain nose plier, a pair of chain nose pliers, a pair of cutting pliers, and a pair of round nose pliers. The chain nose pliers are used for bending the wire and for opening and closing the jump rings. The cutting pliers are used for cutting the wire, whereas the round nose pliers, as you can see they are rounded here at the end, are used for creating loops, such as the loop on the eye pin. And now, I forgot to tell you, I will also use this a jump ring opener for my jump rings. Now that we have talked about the tools, the findings, the beads that we need for this toggle necklace, toggle clasp necklace, let's begin making the necklace. Let's now create the necklace. I will take the nylon cord and I will take one of these cord ends and I will put the cord end like this on my nylon cord to prevent the nylon cord from coming out of my cord end. I will grab the end of this spring cord end and press on this spring end here, like this. And as you can see, the end of this spring cord end is pressing on my nylon cord. I will grab the end of this cord here, of the spring cord end, and I will lift the last ring of my spring cord end like this, so that I can attach the jump ring. Now let's take one of those jump rings and I will open the jump ring, grabbing it with the pliers and with the jump ring opener, like this. And as you can see, I have opened the jump ring. Now I will put the cord end on this jump ring and I will also take half of the toggle clasp and also put it on my jump ring. Let's open the jump ring a bit more. Like this. And now let's close the jump ring using the same tools. I will take another pair of pliers and grab the jump ring like this. So for opening and closing the jump rings, you can use either two pairs of pliers, like these, or a pair of pliers and a jump ring opener like this. So as you can see, one end of my necklace is ready. So this part of the toggle clasp has been attached to the cord. And now we have this other end of the clasp. Again, I will take the spring cord end and put it on the black nylon cord, as you can see, and I will press on the end of this spring cord end this way, so that the nylon cord doesn't come out anymore, since the end of this spring cord end is pressing on the nylon cord. Again, I will lift the last ring this way with the pliers, and let's attach the other end of the toggle clasp. I will open the jump ring like this. I will put the jump ring on the cord end here, and the toggle clasp too. I will grab the jump ring and close it. Like this. And I also attached the other end of the toggle clasp. And now let's see if I can close the necklace like this. So this toggle clasp will be worn in front, on the neck in front, in the front part, on the front part of the neck. And now let's add the ornaments. So our necklace with the toggle clasp is ready. Now the next step is to create the ornamentation of the necklace. So as you can see, I took an eye pin and I put my beads, 2 turquoise beads and a coral bead, on my eye pin. And now let's see how long the pin should be. So I will cut a little bit of this pin like this with the cutting pliers, like this. This way. And now I will bend this pin and I will make sure that the 2 loops will be in the same plane. So I will leave a bit, about a millimeter space between the last bead and the place where I will bend my pin, so that the last bead does not break. And now I will bend to 90 degrees my pin. As you can see, I bent the pin to 90 degrees. And now I will take the round nose pliers and start creating the loop. So I will grab the end of my pin and start rolling the pin. I will close the loop that I have created like this. And as you can see, I have a loop on both ends of my beads. And the next step will be to attach the ornament. So I will attach the feather charm, metal charm. I will open the jump ring. I will put the metal charm on my jump ring. I will also put the beads on my jump ring and I will close. And as you can see, I have created the decoration of my necklace. And now I will take the toggle clasp and I will attach the decoration to my toggle clasp. So I will take the jump ring, I will open it and I will put the jump ring on the toggle clasp this way, and I will also attach the feather pendant with the beads, and I will close my jump ring this way. And now let's see what the finished necklace looks like. Let's put the tools away. So this is the front part of my necklace. Let's see from a distance what my necklace looks like. So this will be a necklace around the neck, so it's not a long necklace, it's just around the neck, a short necklace. And this is what my necklace looks like, and this is the decoration, the pendant of the necklace. So I hope you liked this video, and I hope that you like the toggle clasp necklace.